Well, I'm always glad when Gonzalo says that, because that he doesn't plan or know what he's going to play, because I'm standing here thinking, I'm praying for magic. I had some ideas. I like every year to talk about Santa Claus, actually, very specifically, because I think it's an interesting topic in a predominantly, I guess what I'm going to call predominantly white Christian country, that Santa Claus is so central to Christmas. And in many homes and in many people's lives, and for most children, to be quite honest, Santa Claus figures much more prominently than Jesus or Mary or any of the other characters that could be a big part of Christmas. And I think that when you see things like that in a culture, you have to ask why. Because there's something, and you could say, okay, it's marketing, it's Coca-Cola. People have crafted the image of Santa Claus to promote and sell. But there's something in us that has received it. There's something that has endured in this character from its origins in ancient cultures, traditional cultures. We're talking about a magical elf who is a master of the animals, flies through the sky pulled by deer, right? Comes to the tree filled with lights, is abundant. This is a spirit of the earth, right? This is the goddess's little bro. And it's interesting because in this time of the year, and I normally, I like to kind of get into a little bit of the history and culture and deconstruct things a little bit, but I for some reason, I've just decided I'm not going to do that. What am I going to do? I am still reminded, though, on this topic that people still cock their heads a little bit. Like, this is a spiritual place. This is a spiritual time. What role might Santa Claus have in this? After all, is Santa really real? At what point do we have to just admit this is a figment of our imagination? And I was sitting with some parents the other day, and I don't mind saying this right in front of my son, who surprised me by coming into the room. And they were saying, well, when do you tell your kids that Santa Claus doesn't exist? And I said, what are you talking about? I'm serious. I said, why would you tell your kids Santa Claus doesn't exist? And they're like, well, do you let your son believe in Santa? And I said, I believe in Santa. Santa exists. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, Santa, as we understand, is a spirit. A powerful spirit. Powerful spirits arise around the world again and again. They take on different forms. They shift their costumes a little bit. They get different names in different cultures, but they persist because we feel them. They have a truth. They have an energy that is real. There is no doubt, for me, Santa Claus is real. And then I begin to wonder, not, what is wrong with the question, but how did we come to a place in life, in society, in time, where magic is something to question if it's even worth entertaining? Like it's for Harry Potter. It's for kids. It's something we talk about because it's Christmas or Halloween. But what is magic? Magic, by all accounts, and I've thought a lot about this, because if you can't tell, I'm into magic. Magic is quite simply the effect of the invisible on the visible to create changes and outcomes that we can't explain. That's magic. It's the acting or the force or the influence of the invisible on the visible to create outcomes and changes that we cannot understand or explain. That is the foundation of religious tradition. That's the foundation of divine science. As we change our thoughts, we change our world. When we practice presence, we feel presence. We change energy. The foundation of all mystical traditions that understand consciousness as God, God as consciousness, spirit and source and substance and energy and life as one, they're all magical traditions. In fact, what I started to feel more and more as I traveled to this moment was a great sorrow for the loss of magic. And that we should call things that feel magical so rare and special. What kind of a life can a person be living if there is no magic in it? How flat, how blurry, how bland. This is an incredible time of the year, yes, where the topic of magic resurges, but not just to see if Charlie Brown can get the tree decorated, and not just to see if the stockings will really be filled by the morning, but to remember a rebirth of a consciousness that knows that spirit is always present, and that spirit is the heart of all good things, of all extraordinary changes. All the most extraordinary things in this world begin in the invisible and then move into form. When Gonzalo plays, where did that come from? I mean, were you watching him? Did you see the energy chords? Did you see him reading the music? Really, Gonzalo, where did that come from? And we have the old saying, nothing up my sleeve. But it's this idea that inspiration precedes change. Inspiration precedes innovation. It's funny, but magic is just when you see the inside on the outside. Right? Like when you meet a certain person, you hear a certain sound, maybe even you taste something or see something unexpected, unexplainable. More unexplainable than what you see is how it makes you feel. And the real shock is not that it's surprising and new. The real shock is that it's surprising and familiar. And it feels the way the world should feel. Isn't that what magic is? It's the moment where we're like, oh my gosh, it's true. It's true. What I always wanted to be true is true. Magic is the proof of love. That's what I think. It's that invisible force. Can't add it up, can't explain it, can't deconstruct it. Science still has no way to put it together or take it apart, but it's moving in us every day like a current. And it's between us, and it's around us, and it's within us, and it shapes our actions and decisions, and then there's nothing to point to. That's magic. the things that I am capable of doing for the love of my Son. Unexplainable, unspeakable, magical. And you can come up with biological theories about preserving the species, but it just doesn't add up to the truth of our experience, to the beauty of our world. And so, as we move towards our closing thoughts, I think the invitation is to remember that magic is ever present. Our world is magical. The question is how you participate in it. Do you conjure? Or more accurately, do you take responsibility? Because it's actually happening right now, right? Where you put your prayers, how you set your intentions, how you work with your choices, your deeds, your words. All these things affect change, whether immediately or in time. And this we do know from science. All things so profoundly interconnected that the shock of one becomes the insight of another 10,000 miles away. Right? The breaking of a glass becomes a moment of change. All kinds of things, all things that happen moment to moment, day to day. A dialogue between the world of spirit and the world of form. So I thought maybe I could close with a few things to pay attention to. This I actually thought of and remembered. Words, actions, touchstones, and vision. Those are the four things that you're going to remember, right? So words, actions, touchstones, and visions. What does that mean? It means that all your words are recorded. All your words are magical spells. It's the very heart of this tradition, this community. What we think, what we put energy into, moves the world. You speak poorly of people, it's never hidden. It's no secret. The world knows. And in time, it will be the condition that you live in. You harbor anger, hatred. I mean, it's hard to do it. I know nobody wants to feel these things. But if you feed it, if you allow it, you participate. You participate in feeding the world the same. It's incredible. There is no secret place. There is no private moment because the world is magical. And the same is true of our actions. I remember being a little kid. There's a loose candy on the counter. The bag was ripped. Who could possibly know? And then one day your mom or your dad tells you it's not about who sees it. It's about your choice. It's about what it means. It's about your place in the world. It's a message that you send, and we each send messages. Each time we leave the tap running, each time we honk the horn, each time we choose the phone over the person in front of us, we are sending messages, and we are not only shaping our own experience, we are shaping our world. Now, I wanted to add touchstones because for me, Santa Claus is a touchstone. For me. And the question is, what is it for you? What reminds you of magic day to day? Is there a stone that you can keep in your pocket? Is there a necklace full of feathers and teeth? A cross, a Star of David, What is it? What reminds you not to see so flatly? And finally, vision. And what I mean by that is look for it. Expect magic. Participate in magic. Look around the room. Notice what you feel. Notice what you see. Notice what you hear. Look in each moment for where the invisible is making itself known, where spirit, or whatever you call it, spirit, consciousness, God, is speaking through the coincidence, the sparkle in someone's eye, or the love moving through your heart. There is magic everywhere. And that, to me, is a great, great source of hope and comfort and a reminder that we are, as Nona Brooks had said, we are one. We are a part and an expression of the infinite power that we seek. So I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes a quick moment. And imagine that magically you can send love anywhere, like a sprinkle of fairy dust, glittering lights, real Walt Disney stuff. Picture it. Picture it, visualize it, actually see lights and sparkles and colors, and sprinkle it over the people and the places that are in need. And maybe even take a moment to review your life through the eyes of your heart. And notice which things are sparkling and glittering with that love, with that magic.